Diary entry number 21, The Walls That Hid Trauma. Hello, welcome back to the Nervous System Diary. When I started my new job at the city, I never expected to make friends so quickly. People heard my story about how number 2 and I had ended up in this new state, and they originally wanted to help. At first, I really didn't need much. We were still living in the house we had gotten through the landlord arrangement, and for a while things seemed okay. But things started changing once those 3 free months were coming to an end. The landlord had been coming and going as he pleased the entire time we lived there. At first, I didn't think much about it because we weren't paying rent yet. He was also storing things in the house, and honestly, I just tried to be grateful that I had a roof over my head. When it came time to sign a permanent lease agreement, my instincts started to speak up. The contract was over 20 pages long. Something didn't feel right. So I took it to work and asked some of the housing inspectors, my friends, to look over it. Not only did they read it, they started highlighting things. A lot of things. One major concern was that the landlord would still be allowed to store belongings inside the house and enter the property during reasonable hours whenever he wanted to access them. Another concern was the rent. It was extremely high for what the property actually was. Yes, it was technically a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, but one bathroom didn't work, and one bedroom was basically a storage. And there was holes in some of the walls that you could literally see daylight come through. I had 1 week to decide, stay or leave. Thankfully, my coworker stepped in and helped me look for other options. And that's when I found it. A brick home, concrete walls, a price I could afford on my own if I absolutely had to. Only a 10-minute walk from work, 15 minutes from downtown, opportunities everywhere. I absolutely loved that house. Moving there meant starting over yet again. But by then, starting over had practically become my specialty. So I took a chance. And when I left, I purposely left that highlighted contract sitting on the table by the door. I never looked back. What happened next still amazes me to this day. One of my coworkers rallied people together to help us furnish this new place. We received a couch, a kitchen table with chairs, a thick memory foam mattress, a twin bed, pots, pans, dishes, a television, a washer and dryer, wall decorations, pictures, even a push mower. And one incredible man not only helped gather all those things, he helped transport everything to the house. I couldn't believe people like this even existed. For so many years, my life had been filled with people taking. These people were giving and expecting nothing in return. I was overwhelmed with gratitude. I even got clothing. For the first time in a long time, it felt like a home. Sure, the mattress was still on the floor, but I didn't care. I found a huge canvas someone had thrown away and put it out for curbside. I picked it up and I made a headboard out of it. It actually looked pretty nice. I was proud of what I was building. People would invite us to barbecues. My coworker who co-owned a local pub would invite us there too. For the first time in a long time, I felt like I belonged somewhere. Meanwhile, I kept pushing number 2 to get a job. At this point, he had no excuses left. The library was 1 block away. There were businesses within walking distance. He could apply anywhere. Instead, he blamed me. According to him, moving had ruined everything. He blamed me for taking away the concert setup jobs. He blamed me for leaving the landlord arrangement behind. Nothing was ever his responsibility. One evening, I finally had had enough, and I looked at him and I said, "Look, you've got to get a job. There is no reason you aren't working. We moved here because you wanted a better opportunity." The room went quiet. Then I saw it. The look. the dead eyes. In one motion, he swept his arm across the fireplace mantel, and everything came crashing to the floor. Decorations, pictures, these things that people had given me, the things that I had been so thankful for. He started smashing them. I tried to stop him, not because the items mattered, but because of what they represented. People cared. People had helped us. People had given us a fresh start. And when I grabbed his arm to stop him, he shoved me. Hard. So hard that I fell back into broken glass and marbles scattered across the floor. For a second, I just sat there stunned. Then survival mode kicked in. I got up and ran. I locked myself in the bathroom. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely type. I texted my then aunt. She immediately asked for my address. I sent it. Meanwhile, number 2 was outside the bathroom door, pounding on it and trying to get inside. I was terrified. The police arrived. In that state, when law enforcement responds to domestic violence call, somebody is usually leaving in handcuffs, and it wasn't me. The officer led him away. He screamed horrible things at me. The last thing he said was, "I'll never forgive you for this." Looking back now, I understand exactly what that was. It was guilt, a seed planted intentionally, a way to make me feel responsible for the consequences of his actions. And guess what? It worked. I felt terrible, not because I had done anything wrong, but because of years of abuse had trained me to feel responsible for everyone else's behavior. A few days later, he called me from jail. He told me to use the rent money and bail him out. He told me to make an excuse to the landlord, and I did. Because I felt guilty. Because I thought somehow this was my fault. The decision would affect me for years. It taught him something dangerous. It taught him that guilt worked on me. It taught him that if he pushed the right buttons, I would sacrifice my own well-being to rescue him. I even dropped the charges. The state continued prosecuting him anyway. It was touch without strike. He received probation, mandatory anger management, random drug testing, and the fines that he would have to pay. And for the first time in a long time, he actually needed to have a job. And surprisingly, he found one. Then he quit. Then he found another one. Then he quit that too. The cycle just kept repeating. Part of me hoped that this would be the wake-up call he needed. That probation would force him to take responsibility. That maybe we could finally build a stable life. But abuse doesn't disappear just because someone gets arrested. And in many ways, the story was only beginning. We'll pick up next time. I'm a soft-spoken survivor, and this is the Nervous System Diaries.